All right, it is 1 p.m. Arizona time, so let's get back to it. My name is Matthew, and I am an addict. Please help me open this meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. Everyone will stay muted, so please just follow along at home. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Again, my name is Matthew M. I am your host for this workshop, as well as all the festivities over the weekend. Fresh got a new wardrobe change on. We're ready to get back into it, get some more recovery going. Before we get to our speakers, we've got a couple announcements to get to first. First and foremost, while this convention is utilizing both Zoom and YouTube, Narcotics Anonymous, as a fellowship, does not endorse nor support either company or platform. Because this format limits the possibility for complete anonymity, it is up to each individual member to decide what steps they feel necessary to protect their anonymity, such as removing their last name from their username, turning off their camera if they see fit, and removing the default picture associated with their Zoom account. In addition, this meeting is being broadcast via live stream on youtube.com and will be available after the meeting is complete to be viewed and downloaded. So please be mindful of this as well. In an effort to maximize the security within this platform, the chat function, virtual backgrounds, and all screen sharing options have been disabled. In addition to this, the meeting co-hosts will be monitoring individual participant video feeds, screen names, and backgrounds. And if anything inappropriate is observed, that user will be removed from the call and will not be able to rejoin. This is to ensure that this convention remains a safe, recovery-focused environment for all participants. Each Zoom meeting will become live 15 minutes prior to the start time to set readers for each meeting and will utilize the waiting room function. In addition, each meeting has a limited number of possible participants. And once the Zoom meeting is full, any additional participants are invited to watch the live stream on YouTube by searching for ARCNA 34 space Zoom. And you'll be able to pull up the stream right on YouTube. I'll put all this in the chat as well. So if you have anybody who is unable to get into the meeting because we have hit our maximum, please send them this information so they can follow along on the live stream. Also, want to talk about ARCNA. The in-person live version of ARCNA 34 has been scheduled for July 31st to August 2nd at the DoubleTree Hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona. Here is the flyer for it. There we go. So there are special room rates within the DoubleTree Hotel. If you use this link, you can get room rates for $89 per night during ARCNA. I will put a link to this in the chat, as well as if you're just needing general ARCNA registration information, you can obtain that by going to www.arcna.arizona-na.org. But again, I will put all these links within the chat and also within the YouTube stream video. One other point of emphasis is we have these awesome ARCNA 34 no matter what bandanas. I just spoke with Diana, the creator behind the logo. So fire. And apparently we are running low. So if you're interested in one of these, please contact myself. My number is on the Zoom flyer. I'll put it in the chat as well. And they are free with a $10 donation. So we accept cash, Cash App, Venmo, Facebook, whatever we can do to get these things sold. Let me know. We can mail them anywhere in the world. I can deliver them. We just want to, share the beautiful love that is ARCNA 34 with the world. And dual purpose, face shield, coronavirus free. So check them out. All right. I think that's pretty much all the announcements that I have. So we will go into our readings. My co-host Maya is going to share the readings, and I have asked Anne to read Who is an Addict?
Hi, Ann, addict. Who is an addict? Most of us do not have to think twice about this question. We know. Our whole life and thinking was centered in drugs in one form or another. The getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. We live to use and use to live. Very simply, an addict is a man or woman whose life is controlled by drugs. We are people in the grip of a continuing and progressive illness whose ends are always the same: jails, institutions, and death. Thanks for letting me read.
Awesome. Thank you, Ann. And next up, we have Marty with what is the NA program?
I'm an addict. My name is Marty. NA is a nonprofit fellowship or society of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. We are recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other stay clean. This is a program of complete abstinence from all drugs. There's only one requirement for membership: the desire to stop using. We suggest that you keep an open mind and give yourself a break. Our program is a set of principles written so simply that we can follow them in our daily lives. The most important thing about them is that they work. There are no strings attached to NA. We are not affiliated with any other organizations. We have no initiation fees or dues, no pledges to sign, no promises to make to anyone. We are not connected with any political, religious, or law enforcement groups and are under no surveillance at any time. Anyone may join us regardless of age, race, sexual identity, creed, religion, or lack of religion. We are not interested in what or how much you used or who your connections were, what you have done in the past, how much or how little you have, but only in what you want to do about your problem and how we can help. The newcomer is the most important person at any meeting because we can only keep what we have by giving it away. We have learned from our group experience that those keep coming to our meetings regularly stay clean.
Sorry, I was still muted. Thank you, Marty. All right, next up, we have Terry reading Why Are We Here?
Hey everybody, I'm Terry, I'm an addict. Before coming to the Fellowship of NA, we could not manage our own lives. We could not live and enjoy life as other people do. We had to have something different we thought we had found it in drugs. We placed their use ahead of the welfare of our families, our wives, husbands, and our children. We had to have drugs at all costs. We did many people great harm, but most of all, we harmed ourselves. Through our inability to accept personal responsibilities, we were actually creating our own problems. We seemed to be incapable of facing life on its own terms. Most of us realized that in our addiction, we were slowly committing suicide, but addiction is such a cunning enemy of life that we lost the power to do anything about it. Many of us ended up in jail or sought help through medicine, religion, and psychiatry. None of these methods was sufficient for us. Our disease always resurfaced or continued to progress until in desperation, we sought help from each other in Narcotics Anonymous. After coming to NA, we realized we were sick people. We suffer from a disease from which there is no known cure. It can, however, be arrested at some point and recovery is then possible. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much. And next up, we have Triple B reading How It Works. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Bonnie and I'm an addict. Hey family, How It Works. If you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. These are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. This sounds like a big order, and we can't do it all at once. We didn't become addicted in one day, so remember, easy does it. There is one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. 3 of these that are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. With these, we are well on our way. We feel that our approach to the disease of addiction is completely realistic, for the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. We feel that our way is practical, for one addict can best understand and help another addict. We believe that the sooner we face our problems within our society in everyday living, just that much faster do we become acceptable, responsible, and productive members of that society. The only way to keep from returning to active addiction is not to take that first drug. If you are like us, you know that 1 is too many and 1,000 never enough. We put great emphasis on this, for we know that when we use drugs in any form or substitute one for another, we release our addiction all over again. Thinking of alcohol as different from other drugs has caused a great many addicts to relapse. Before we came to NA, many of us viewed alcohol separately, but we cannot afford to be confused by this. Alcohol is a drug. We are people with the disease of addiction who must abstain from all drugs in order to recover.
Thank you very much, Bonnie. And next up, we have Rebecca reading the 12 traditions like she always does.
I'm Rebecca, I'm an addict. We keep what we have only with vigilance, and just as freedom from the individual comes from the 12 steps, so freedom from the group springs from our traditions. As long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that will tear us apart, all will be well. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on innate unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for membership is the desire to stop using. 4, each group should be autonomous, accepting of matters affecting other groups or NA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. 6, an NA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest promise money or property prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Narcotics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, NA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. Understanding these traditions comes slowly over a period of time. We pick up information as we talk to members and visit various groups. It usually isn't until we get involved with service that someone points out that personal recovery depends on NA unity, and that unity depends on how well we follow our traditions. 12 traditions of NA are non-negotiable. They are the guidelines that keep our fellowship alive and free. By following these guidelines in our dealings with others and society at large, we avoid many problems. That is not to say that our traditions eliminate all problems. We still have to face difficulties as they arise, communication problems, differences of opinion, internal controversies, and troubles with individuals and groups outside the fellowship. However, when we apply these principles, we avoid some of the pitfalls. Many of our problems are like those that our predecessors had to face. Their hard-won experience gave birth to the traditions, and our own experience has shown that these principles are just as valid today as they were when these traditions were formulated. Our traditions protect us from the internal and external forces that could destroy us. They are truly the ties that bind us together. It is only through understanding and application that they work.
Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everybody, for reading. If you're interested in donating to our 7th tradition, we are using a Square Pay link. I will put that into the chat as well, and it is also linked on the YouTube video. So let's get to the speakers, what everybody's here for. You don't want to hear me talking. The format of this speaker meeting, or I'm sorry, this workshop, is the very fitting life on life's terms. Each speaker will share for 30 minutes on this topic, and then we'll close after that. So first up, coming up, we have Salita from SoCal. Let me unmute you here and take it away, Salita.
Wow. Streaming on YouTube. I don't know if I should like fly my drone outside and show you a show or something, but this is different. I want to say thank you for your service, Matthew, and thank you, Diana, for reaching out to me and having faith in me that I have some kind of message besides the mess, right? Thank you, readers. Thank you, everyone of service. Service keeps me clean. Life on life's terms. You know, every time I get a topic, my head, all 13 committee members in my head start talking shit and you're not good enough and you don't even know what terms really means. And, you know, I have to like shut them up and I have to meditate. And for a long time, I didn't fit in life or life's terms. I didn't know how to follow direction. I didn't ever fit in. So I felt like someone had to take care of me. And when I read that in Triangle of Self-Obsession, light bulbs went off and firecrackers went off in my head and the committee shut up for a while. Just real short, like my addiction, I didn't come from a family of addicts. I came from a Filipino strict family that taught us piano and we're a part of the community, and my parents became citizens, and my dad was an architect for the state of California. And like, I was that rebel, kept getting in trouble, kept getting punished in my room. So I was already doing time at an early age, like 5, 6, 7, 8. I was jumping from the furniture to the bed, like don't touch the floor. And then my sister would get in trouble. So I would draw her into our jump, don't touch the floor. And I managed to do good time like that. I also was introduced to candy, and sugar was like very obsessive, controlling, and addiction for me, you know. And I would steal from my brother's piggy bank. I carried a butter knife in my back pocket, and when I knew he was gone, I was in there taking from his piggy bank. And life for me then was just, I don't know, I faltered, just like our literature says, you know, and I never grew up. And I was like an adult living in a child's body. Life on life's terms, like it's 654 times in our basic text. It has its own section from page 303 all the way to the end. It's like when we come to NA, we don't just come because we need to find a way to stop drugs. I wanted to find a way to use drugs and still keep my job. Unfortunately, I didn't learn how to do that. But I'm that addict. Like a lot of people come to the podium and they're like, yeah, I got a sponsor and I did steps and I do 90 and 90 and I do all this and I do all that. I'm that addict that didn't listen and didn't want to sponsor, didn't want to do steps. I would go to meetings to look for girls. They said women with women, men with men. I said, yeah, let's go. Where's all the women's meetings? And I was in rehab and I became res pres and I was kicking all the girls out of the men's side and they're like, you're a hater, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I am. So what? Go back to your bunk. Life for me in recovery in the beginning was all fun. It was all fun. I wasn't loaded. I didn't want to get loaded anymore. I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to get that house, that car, and that girl. And I did that twice. And without working steps, I lost everything. The relationship was a shamble, a parody of love. Until I worked the steps, I learned that I didn't love them. I didn't even love myself. I was in love with a fantasy. You know, when you watch All My Children and shit, and she's laying with some man and thinking of another man, like I was in a fantasy. Like these girls, I just was so shallow. I would look at their face and fall in love and move them in, and I had a U-Haul membership. Move one out, move another one in, and drugs became more important. Like, bitch, leave. You know, I need to go get loaded. And then like I would have all their family there because I'm a people pleaser, a control freak, everything that could go wrong in recovery. I did. I was of service in my early years, so I turned myself in. I was on the curb. I woke up one day on my homeboy's porch because his old lady kicked me out because I was in the bathroom too long with him. Although I'm a butch, she thought I was fucking him, but we were trying to squeeze the cotton to get more dope. I woke up and I just started crying and I said, I can't live like this no more. I had no food, no money, no friends, nowhere to go, no clean clothes. Like I cracked up when Matthew said he changed his wardrobe. I did too. Look at, I'm doing a LGBTQ speaker jam all weekend, so I had my rainbow headband on first. So now I'm changing to ARCNA. You know, I had to, like, I'm the kind of addict, if I'm going to share, I already went around this whole room. I looked at all you guys and I gave you a virtual hug. And I hope that maybe you felt it. But that's what I do. I go around conventions and I look at people and if we connect, I'll hug them. If we don't connect, I'll pray for them, you know, and some people can't stand me and that's okay because sometimes I can't stand me. And like, I jump around a lot and I pray to my higher power, who I call God, and I just tell him, give me a message. Tell me what you want me to say, you know? And like, I'm not a fucking graduate, PhD, bachelor's degree and all that. And not even in our literature, I'm not that good, but I do know that the solution is in the literature. The solution for my problems, life on life's terms, is out of this literature with a sponsor that knows how to guide me, that lives the program also. And I have sponsees that help me today. I don't just help them. I don't have a selfish program. I don't tell them, you better come to this meeting or find a new sponsor. Bitch, please. I don't know who taught them that, but I sure didn't. And nobody has ever treated me like that. And if somebody's treating you badly, if you feel more bad than good, run for your fucking life, man. I've been through so much in recovery. Like, that's life on life's terms. And I didn't have to pick up. And I'm going to get butt raw honest because you guys can't kick me out of NA. All you could do is not talk to me or not associate with me. I was that stubborn addict that didn't work steps for 18 fucking years. I'm going on 29 years in August. So a lot of that, I jumped in the literature and I've done several rounds of steps, traditions, and concepts. My sponsor is always like in my life. She's 400 miles away, but she knows what the fuck I'm doing. She was in the speaker jam earlier and I was like, hey, nice to see you, Spons, you know, and she's just cruising around and she watches my world and I watch her world and I get to be part of her family. And, you know, sponsorship is so important because after my second marriage in recovery, 10 years I was with that chick and like I took care of her family and, you know, Miss Caretaker, provider, and they all loved me, of course, because I took her off their hands. When I came back, I was so spiritually broken. I went on my friend's Facebook page, the only friend I was allowed to have without an argument. And I looked at her friends list and I just started going down the list, add, because they were all my friends. And a lot of them were from before that relationship. And they're like, where you been? You know, and like I always share, I went to San Diego World Convention in 2011. And after being complacent, I mean, complacency is in our literature too. And after being complacent for so long, people didn't know my face. They weren't receptive at World. I walked around there and I felt so alone. I just left and I went back to my brother's because he lives in San Diego, and I stayed over there, and he goes, how come you're not at the convention? I'm like, I'm tired. I need to just rest, you know, but that was a lie. I felt alone and I didn't know how to reach out because I didn't work the steps yet in 2011. I just got my sponsor and she just started guiding me. And I tell you, after that, I have so many people in my life. I don't even know if some of them really like me or not, but you know what? They support me. And as long as they support me, I will support them. And as long as someone reaches out to me, I will try to get them help. Like, I don't know all the answers, and I haven't been through everything that's in our literature. There's stories like the frozen addict in here. Oh my God. He slammed some fake heroin and he's gone. Like, he's just drooling and he can hear, but he can't talk and he can't walk. He has to have a walker. It's like, I know if my life would be over if I relapsed and there's fentanyl out there. Like, I'm used to heroin, okay? You got to fill that spoon with heroin so I could slam that shit and fill the syringe all the way. You give me a little mustard seed of fentanyl, I'm going to say, bitch, please, that isn't going to do shit for me, right? I'll pour the whole thing in there, I'll be dead. Okay, so I don't even want to go there. And the way I look at it is like, I don't care if you got 2 hours clean, 30 days clean, 1 day clean, or 30 years clean. Don't give your clean time up for nobody, no matter fucking what. Like, I'll be damned if I go to a meeting and say, I'm a newcomer, I gave up 28 years for so-and-so or for this or that. You know, like, I've been through a lot of pain, let me tell you, and my friends know, like, I reach out. I don't keep shit inside and stuff it inside no more. Somebody hurts my feelings, I'm calling someone real quick, and I'll bitch and moan and talk shit, and I don't know why she would hurt me. But the bottom line is, I've done that to other people. I've hurt people in my life. So why isn't I can't even talk. Why wouldn't I get hurt, right? So I have to remember that, and I have to remember that they're just human, and maybe they didn't even mean to hurt me, but perception is the key here. It's how we perceive things that matters. Like, I could see the building across the sidewalk is yellow and blue, and you might see green and red. We're just two different people, man. We're gonna always see things different. And you know, like, H&I is a big part of my life. Like I said, service keeps me clean. So if you're like sitting at home bored on this COVID-19 and you ain't got nothing to do, shit, call me or message me. I'll put you to work. We need more people on our committee. You don't got to be LGBTQ. There's a plus sign. You can just support our asses. We don't care. But you don't have to be bored, man. There's so much in Narcotics Anonymous. Like, I get to host 2 home groups, you know, and when I don't feel the meeting, I make someone else the host and I jam and I go somewhere else, you know. And I like to cruise meetings because I'm a speaker finder, like, big time. I went to Scotland, I went to Sweden, and I got speakers from Thailand, and like, they're LGBTQ everywhere, man. Like, we're not alone. And if you think you feel alone and you want to create something, fucking create it. Call me. I'll tell you how to do it. Ad hoc coffee pot and call another addict. We were able to create a LGBTQ subcommittee for Southern California region because I had a resentment, and my sponsor said, get yourself a coffee pot and call some addicts. And we ended up creating it, and we've been 2 years, 3 years strong now. And they're having a speaker jam all weekend. So this is also like life on life's terms. When Diana added me or asked me, I looked at my calendar, and of course I don't have to put the speaker jam in there because I'm on the committee. So I said yes. And then the speaker jam comes up and I'm like, holy shit. And then I'm on the committee for ARCNA, and that's going on right now at 1:30. And I told him I'm going to be late, but I'll be there, you know, and like life's terms show up for me, and I don't like bone out on commitments. I don't say, oh, you know what, I have another commitment. Now, this is just me. I'm not saying if you bone out on something, you're wrong. That's you. I'm going to keep my commitments to the best of my ability. I don't know about you, but this COVID-19, like they shortened my hours a little bit and I got less pay, but I've been working financially on myself, doing financial amends, and I was able to pay down all my credit cards but one under 30%. So if I have to live off credit for a month, I'll do it. And I got that first stimulus, so I threw that on the big card, and I'm okay. You know, like we had a fire on the hill by my apartment building, and we had to evacuate, and my head said, get yourself an emergency kit. So I went on online and I got these big buckets of freeze-dried food. I got the vegetarian meat, I got vegetables, fruit, everything. So I'm even using that so I don't have to go in the stores and wear that mask and look at people and get that whatever virus they got. And I just like self-quarantine myself. I go to work, I come home, and I work all by myself in my little cubicle, and everybody's on the other side of the office. If they want me, they call me on my connection. And that for me is my life, and life on life's terms. There's nothing that happens today in my life, even if I went to jail. If I went to jail clean, I would be having a whole H&I panel in there. I'd have all them addicts like, I'll be your sponsor, do it like this. And then you could sponsor her and you could tell her and like pass it around, and we can make meetings, and I'd be writing world for literature and shit. Send me this, send me that. And, you know, like I could talk all day, but I have other commitments to do. And I know that there's another speaker, and I want to stick around for him, but my other meeting is going to start. And I usually, well, I never just share and split. I wasn't raised like that in NA, but because I overwhelmed myself this weekend, I have to. But I want to tell you guys, if nobody tells you they love you, you're around the wrong fucking people. That's what I say. I don't like fake my recovery. I don't say I love everybody, because there's some people that hurt me that I just don't want to be around. And how I feel about them is my business, right? Anything past my nose is none of my business. So what they think of me doesn't matter. I'm not people pleasing no more. And that girl that whoever is supposed to drop on my lap, well, she hasn't been dropped on my lap, and I'm perfectly fine with it. Because you know what? Like I was telling my friend, I'm tired of hearing that, well, what are you doing this weekend? Why do you go to NA? Why do you do CIW? It's all girls. You're looking for a girl. Look, if I wanted a girl in prison, come on. She doesn't have a job yet. At least let her get out and get a job. No, I'm just kidding. I can just clown around a lot. You know, I'm an addict. I'm in recovery. I'm clean. I'm not dead. And I'll be damned if I'm going to sit bored and miserable on my life, on life's terms. Thank you, ARCNA, for letting me share.
Awesome. Thank you, Salida. I'm going to unmute everybody. Let's hear it for Salida. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Salida. Quick question. Oops, I thought I muted everybody. Oh, wrong button. Sorry, messed that up. Come on. There we go. Now I'm muting everybody. Sorry about that. Salida, I had somebody inquiring for information about what you were speaking of in terms of being of service. Would you be all right if I sent her your number? All right, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Salida. Next up, we have Mark. Let me unmute you here, Mark. And there you go.
Yeah, I had to push the button. Thank you, Matthew. I'm an addict. My name's Mark. And I'm certainly not going to be as exciting as the previous speaker. because, well, you know, as time goes by, we get a little bit older and a little bit slower, you know, and you know, life on life's terms for me today is that we've been really slowed down for a couple months here, and you know, but the good thing about being slow like that is that it's easier to take things the way they are. And I'm going to be watching you, Matthew, because I saw you getting all excited. If you get excited once during my talk, I'll be grateful for that, because well, there we go. All right, it's over. Thank you. You know, I don't like to really qualify, you know, when I come in and speak. You know, when I read our literature, it talks about it doesn't matter what or how much you used, who your connections were, what you've done in the past, how much or how little you have. And those are the kind of things that I think separate us, you know, in recovery. I use this drug, you use that drug, I use this method, you know, and for some reason it's, you know, you're supposed to qualify, but I'm not going to do it. You know, I don't have to speak up for my place in the rooms. I have a place in the rooms. I've been here for quite a while. You know, and if I talked about my stuff, sometimes I feel like, you know, I'm different than other addicts. Like, for instance, I never went to rehab. You know, I came in the doors and I stopped using, and I struggled, and, you know, and I didn't have anybody talking to me about this and that, and, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, that was life on life's terms for me. When I get asked to speak, I always, my first thought is like, I don't want to do that, because, you know, I don't want to do that. But when NA asks me to do something, I always say yes, because I'm grateful for having my life back. And you know, when I look around and think about it, I know that if I gave half of my money to Narcotics Anonymous to carry the message, and spend half of my time doing service, I'd be coming out way ahead of where I would have been if I wouldn't have ever, you know, had the benefits that this program has to offer. So, you know, if somebody, you know, it seems like a small thing to ask to speak, but, you know, so I always say yes. And to be honest with you, you know, I watch a lot of people, you know, and when the speaking thing comes up, you kind of see them trying to edge up to the front, you know. They want to speak, they want to be a personality, they want people to listen to them. I like to talk too, you know, but, you know, sometimes I wonder, what do I know? What do I have to say? So when I started thinking about this topic, life on life's terms, and that's the way I approach this, is that I wasn't here to talk about me. I was here to talk about life on life's terms. And so I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, you know, it seems to me that there's kind of two kinds of life on life's terms. You know, there's the kind of life on life's terms like this virus that's going on, you know, and I've had other life on life's terms in my life that weren't as a result of anything that I did. You know, my parents have both passed away. I lost one of my sons to a heroin overdose. You know, he'd been you know, a junkie for 10 years, and finally he overdosed. I didn't have anything to do with that. Then there's other lives on life's terms that I created by my own choices, you know, and I guess those are the ones that I can sort of do something about. You know, it's like, you know, getting into bad relationships, and you know, you go all in and you're traveling a different path than you were before with somebody else, and then you know, it goes bad. And you know, when early in my recovery, I had trouble accepting my part in things, you know, and somebody that I know texted me today and said, good luck speaking, don't lie, you know. And the way yeah, right. But the thing is that when it came to life on life's terms, you know, early in recovery, all I did was lie to myself. You know, it's like, oh, you know, that person did me wrong, you know. And, you know, it took me so long to realize that I was never a victim in these situations. I was a volunteer, You know, I signed on the dotted line. It was my choices that brought me to those life on life terms moments. And believe me, I've had them. I mean, I gave up my occupation, married a woman, moved to Europe with her, you know, gave put all my money in to start an organic farm, and then she kicked me out, and I end up homeless in Stockholm, you know, and I'm like, well, she didn't really kick me out. She made it clear she didn't want me around. I left. I made a choice to leave. You know, there's a difference, I guess, but she had mentally kicked me out before I left. I'm one of these guys that always like give things a chance, you know, let's not make sudden decisions, you know, but I had to go. And so that can be a little bit frightening, you know, being in a foreign country, you don't speak the language. A lot of people spoke English, but you know, I was a permanent resident, so I was entitled to get help, but I didn't know how to navigate the system, and you know, I didn't have anywhere to stay. And luckily, I had been going to a Narcotics Anonymous home group, and I became a couch surfer. People were constantly coming to me and saying, where are you going to stay tonight? You know, do you need a place? And so I was couch surfing. And then finally I found a place, and then finally I ended up back in the US again. A friend of mine got cancer and needed somebody to help him. Take him to meetings, take him to the doctor, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I end up in Miami. But you know, that was a whole life on life's terms situation. And that was the first time that I ever really sat back and said, you know, I signed up for all of this, you know, and that was the truth, you know. And the lies that I used to tell myself was, and I don't know, can I use bad language here? Okay. What I used to tell myself is that bitch, you know, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, she did this, she did that, you know, and it's like, you know, I'm powerless over that stuff, you know, but the life on life's terms bummers that I cause myself, I can't do anything about it if I keep blaming somebody else, you know, because then I'm just a victim, you know, now. But when I start taking responsibility for my part in it, then, you know, it's very powerful. Then I, you know, and you know what? It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt me to say I'm wrong. That was really messed up. I should have never did that. What's the matter with me? Why wasn't I thinking? You know, and I've done that plenty of times. And that doesn't make me less of a person, you know, but in life on life's terms keeps coming around, you know. That thing when you know, when my son died, man, that one was hard because there was nothing I could have done about it. That was about his choices, not my choices. It knocked me so bad off my, you know, whatever my equilibrium point, that I think I'm still trying to get back from it. And it's been like 10 years now. Yeah, it was a mess. I mean, I went around from, you know, to meetings and would just start crying in the middle of it. You know, you know, it was bad. It hurt. And there was nothing I could do about it. And except try to, you know, keep showing up. And then I remembered, like, when I was like maybe clean 6 months or something, we're sitting around talking, and we're talking about reservations, you know. And I always, you know, I was the guy that like read the whole basic text in a night and said, I got this, you know. And you know, we're talking about reservations, I'm like, I don't have any reservations, you know. And but then you know, I had a you know, a unusual moment of honesty at that point, and I said, well, you know, maybe if something happened to one of my kids, you know. So my advice is, don't ever think like that. You don't want it to, you know. And I think at that 6 month point, I didn't even really understand what reservations were. You know, reservations are something that will put you back out there. It's something that, like, if this happens, it's okay to use. But and the one thing I'm grateful for out of the whole thing is that when this happened to me, I never even thought of using. I swear to God. I mean, I had like more than 20 years, it took me that long to get there, but I was there and I never thought of using. I called my sponsor and I connected with the people that loved me. And, I was a mess and I'm sometimes still a mess about this. And so that was something that I couldn't do anything about. I mean, when my parents died, I didn't like that either. And I'm grateful that I'm able to feel my feelings today and to understand that I can survive them. I mean, this is part of life on life's terms for me, is being able to go through what happens in my life without making things worse by either acting out on something or coming out of the side of my neck with something. And I think I did a little bit of that when my son died. I was a mess, but just not making things worse and learning that I can survive my feelings. And sometimes life on life terms has been a great teacher for me. When I went through that homeless thing in Stockholm, it's like I didn't know what to do, and I felt that fear inside of me. It was like uh, electricity. It was like I touched a wire or something, and I remembered the triangle of self-obsession, and it said, if you have fear, that's the negative, and that the positive is faith. So I started thinking, well, what is faith? You know, how do I have faith? And so I approach it the way I approached everything in this program, because I didn't know anything about anything. And I just, they say fake it while you make it until you make it. But I say more like I just pretended. I pretended I had faith. I said, okay, what would somebody do in this situation that had faith? I said, okay, A, stop shitting my pants. B, uh, take care of what's right in front of me, do the next right thing. And as time went by, and I, probably many months went by before I ended up back in Miami and had a stable environment. Never once did I have to go sleep under the bridge. And somebody, somebody always came to me and said, sometimes I'd get a place to stay for a few days. Somebody would say, I'm going on vacation. You want to sleep at my place? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So then like 3 or 4 days would go by. And then when I knew it was going to be over in a day or two, I'd feel the fear start creeping up. What am I going to do next? And I go, okay, all right, stop shitting your pants, and somebody would call me. And they'd say, hey, do you have someplace to stay? And I'd say, well, yeah, for another 2 days, and then nothing. And they go, I'll call you back. I think I know someplace you can go. So, that's how I found faith, was by letting it happen, and getting out of the way of it and trying to just be calm, and I know that, whatever is happening to me, my thinking about it in a negative way is only going to make it worse. They talk about, the triangle of self-obsession talks about the past, the present, and the future, and people always say, stay in the now, stay in the just for today. Well, I challenge anybody, watch your thoughts and get back to me. Tell me what percent of those thoughts were focused in the now, and which ones were about what might happen later or what did happen before. And when I did that, I realized I'm living my whole life in a different time zone than I actually am in. It's like I'm sitting there going, like I said before, that bitch, that's in the past. I'm gone from Sweden now. You know what I mean? I don't need to worry about that anymore. Or else thinking ahead of the time, where am I going to stay next week? It's like, it's not next week, and it's not last year. It's now. And So then you get to the idea of like, what is the next right thing? You know, that's what we can decide to do now. You know, and like when somebody asked me to share here, the next right thing, even though I didn't want to, was to say, okay, I'll do it. And, you know, I don't know why I don't like to share. I mean, maybe I have some kind of fear about looking stupid or, you know, and when I was listening to Salida, I was like, oh my God, that's a tough road act to follow. You know, I see Matthew jumping up and down. Yay, yay, yay. That's so cool. And I'm like, no, it's like, I'm not so cool. I'm an old guy, you know? But, you know, I guess, you know, we have a lot of experiences we go through in life. And, you know, my idea was I'm going to stay focused on, you know, what the topic is. So that's Life on Life Terms for me today. And I screwed this up. I thought I was going on at 2:30 your time. It was really 1 o'clock. And like at 10 to 1, somebody is calling me. And I said, no, I got an hour and a half, you know, I had 10 minutes. So, you know, I jump up, and, you know, that's the best you can do sometimes. I was also offered self-acceptance. And I chose this one because I had all these experiences with it. And I'm not so clear whether, I'm in a place to talk about self-acceptance yet. I mean, I only have 31 years clean, and maybe it's still coming, I'm getting it sometimes and sometimes I'm not. I was listening to a guy speaking the other night at a meeting in Bellingham, Washington. He had 51 years clean. He's a friend of mine. And somebody asked him, he says, if you get to 34 years, you don't have to let go of your character defects. Somebody said, he told me once, in the shares after, that you don't have to let go of your defects if you're up to 34 years. And they said, is that true? And he goes, well, ask this other guy. And he asked the other guy, and the other guy goes, yeah, that's what he told me. So I don't know anything about that. Maybe if I stop worrying about stuff, I'll find some self-acceptance. Because I'm my, Life on Life's Terms for me, I'm my own hardest critic. It's like after everything I do, I sit there and go, oh, I should have did this, I should have did that, and that's more that like that bitch, it's like thinking about the past, I'm not in the present. And, I give, I give credit to others that I don't give to myself. Like one of the most important things that happened to me in my step work was I realized that my parents did the best they could. I was pissed off at them forever. And then I realized they did the best they could, and you can't ask for any more than that. But then when I do the best I can, I'm critical of myself. So that's why I didn't choose self-acceptance, in case anybody was wondering. And now, I don't know, how much time do I have left? 7 minutes?
Yeah, like 10-ish, if you want to keep, yeah.
10-ish, okay. Well,
or
I think, yeah, I don't know. I like I say, I'll recap. 2 kinds of Life on Life's Terms. Life on Life's Terms that just comes at you, and Life on Life's Terms that you create yourself. And there's different ways, different strategy for both of them. Like for me, Life on Life's Terms that just comes at me, try to stay calm, try to find the silver lining in the cloud, like, just try to roll with it, because, it's like we say the Serenity Prayer forever, and like, do all of us always accept the things we cannot change? But the thing that Life on Life's Terms that I cause for myself, those are the things I can change. That's the wisdom to know the difference. I can't undo what's already been done, but whatever's in the past is gone. I don't have to do that again. I can make new mistakes. I mean, that's my goal in life, because I know I'm not going to be perfect. It's like, I want to make different mistakes tomorrow. I don't want to just keep making the same mistakes. It's boring, you know, and I want to make new mistakes because that's an adventure, you know. So, you know, that's all I got. Thank you. Oh, and I forgot to, I know part of the speaker thing is like, thank you to ARCNA 34. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Brenda, for asking me. Thank you, Salita, for going ahead of me. And you know, it was an excellent share. Thank you, really, to Salita. And with that, I'll pass.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Let's all unmute. Let's hear from Mark. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
Mark.
Back. Oh, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Jeez.
Thanks, Mark.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And again, want to say thank you to Salita and Mark for sharing their experience, strength, and hope and honesty. I like that. As well as everybody else who was of service during this meeting. Thank you all. Before closing the meeting, I have asked Alex to read We Do Recover. Maya is going to put it on the screen. I'm going to unmute you, Alex, even though I think you can yourself. And there you go.
My name is Alex. I'm an addict. We do recover. When at the end of the road, we find we can no longer function as a human being, either with or without drugs, we all face the same dilemma. What is there left to do? There seems to be this alternative, either go on as best we can to the bitter ends, jails, institutions, or death, or find a new way to live. In years gone by, very few addicts ever had this last choice. Those who are addicted today are more fortunate. For the first time in man's entire history, a simple way has been proving itself in the lives of many addicts. It is available to us all. This is a simple, spiritual, not religious program known as Narcotics Anonymous.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. And again, thank you, everybody, for being in this meeting, for sharing your recovery with me. Before we close completely, I just want to do a quick announcement that the next workshop will be in 1 hour and 4 minutes from now. It is going to be on self-acceptance, as Mark was just talking about. So that is going to be starting at 3 p.m. Arizona time. This call, excuse me, will stay active. Nobody will be here. But if you are wanting to go get something to eat, grab some coffee, we'll be back here live 15 minutes prior to that to set readers. So yeah, I hope everybody's enjoying this convention thus far. And after a moment of silence for the addict who's still sick and suffering, both inside and outside of all of these virtual rooms, we will close with the 3rd step prayer. Everyone will stay muted, so please follow along at home. Many of us have said, take my will in my life, guide me in my recovery, and show me how to live. All right, thank you, everybody. If you want to put something up there, Maya, I'm going to go save this video. And anybody who's interested, all of the speakers are available on YouTube. So just simply search ARCNA 34 Zoom, and all of the workshops and main speakers will be available to watch and or download.
You guys can see that, right, Matthew?
Yep, looks perfect.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go get lunch. Bye.
Sounds good. Thank you.